Well, while noodling or rattlesnake hunts certainly have a local flavor, they also have a global appeal. At the Governor's Conference on Tourism, I sat down with Bill Geist, an expert on tourism tactics, trends, and technology. So how important is it for a community to brand itself when it comes to trying to attract those tourism dollars that there are out there?
Yeah, I think a brand for a destination is probably one of the most important things we do. However, I think what I also am seeing are people jumping on the brand wagon, as I call it, and they're reaching out and trying to rename themselves or come up with something that's clicky. Or honestly, the brand of a destination, any town, already exists. What a smart marketer does is identify what the key components of your strengths are and then move those into the forefront in the messaging. I don't think that a new slogan necessarily, is the be-all and end-all, and that tends to be the end game for most branding processes. But having a destination brand is everything. I bring up Gary, Indiana in some of my talks. Gary has a horrible brand image, and yet it's one of the most beautiful towns. Along the lakefront is fabulous, but it still has the brand of being the murder capital of America, which it hasn't been for over 25 years. But those kinds of things, those negative brands hold on, and then the positive brands hold on too. And so that's the key, is how do you get the positive message away from the negative and put that out for everybody to see.
Something we found here in Oklahoma is that we certainly are branded. We're branded as the West. We're branded as Native American. Is it smart to try to advertise yourself as a cultural destination?
Absolutely. Cultural travel is up. Museum travel is way up. 40% of museum operators this past year said that their numbers were significantly higher than they've ever seen before. What is actually at work there, I'm not sure we know why all of a sudden we're coming back into the cultural, but cultural can be heritage, it can be music, it can be whatever makes your community your community. While I was here in Oklahoma City, I went over to the History Center and saw the rock and roll. What a rich musical history you have in this state that I don't think a lot of people know. And I think that if people knew, they'd make the pilgrimage here just as if they were making the pilgrimage to Cleveland, Ohio, which is the rock and roll capital, of course.
I want to ask you about something that we see, and that's travelers coming oftentimes from overseas, Europe, that are coming here to immerse themselves, say, staying at a ranch for a week.
Yeah. Immersion travel is one of those things that also is growing, not quite as fast as some of the other niches that are out there, but immersion is one of those things that's a life experience that you will take back and you will tell everybody. And the best marketing, as we all know, is word of mouth. So if we can provide them with an immersive opportunity and an experience, they will tell hundreds of their friends, and you just can't buy that kind of advertising.
Let's talk a little bit about marketing now. And how has today's consumer changed?
I think we've got a couple of things at work. One, there's way more consumer choice than ever before. So while that's a great thing that anybody can get into the marketplace with an amazing array of experiences and products, there's so many that how do you find out which is the right one? And so I think today's marketing really, it's one of the reasons that so many marketers are racing into the social media space, is because it's not about what we tell somebody about the product. It's how we involve them in the conversation. And that's kind of, there was this conversation that we are now in the era of Web 2.0, like there was a Web 1.0, but whatever. But the Web 2.0, Web 1.0 really was an electronic billboard. Web 2.0 is enabling a conversation between customers who like you, and sometimes customers that don't, but also with you and the customer, so that they know, they can begin to find out more about your product from you and decide if they want to do business with you. And so the social aspect, while a lot of people kind of poo-poo it as it's just the kids and it's just Facebook and it's just Twitter's silly, those are the opportunities that business, which was behind kind of a wall before, I have my product here, now we've opened that door so that we can begin the conversation. And that's what today's consumer wants, is a conversation.
So with these new electronic communities, are we seeing more emphasis put on what my neighbor thinks?
Oh, absolutely. We're looking over our shoulder constantly. We want that validation. We don't want to make a mistake, especially true as we get younger and younger in the consumer generational pods. Definitely the millennials and Xers hate to make a mistake, and they want that validation. And they're getting the validation from their friends on Facebook, from their friends on Twitter, from the texting they do back and forth. And frankly, sometimes it's not just their friends. They're getting validation from TripAdvisor, from people they've never ever met. We'll go on and we'll check out a hotel, we'll check out a restaurant, and we'll see how many good reviews and how many bad reviews. And we'll make our decisions there, and yet we've never met these people before. But we believe them more than we believe the official marketing message, because it's the man. So we don't want to believe the man. We want to, we believe our friends and our associates. And so I think there's huge opportunity there for any business in the marketing sphere is get those testimonials. Get people talking about you, because the more that chatter that's out there, the more chances is I'm going to find it and say, I want to learn more about this product or this experience.
I want to ask you a little bit about visuals, whether it be on a website or whether it be in social media. How important are pictures and video?
Yeah, well, it's a sad commentary about our society, but we don't read anymore. And if we do, it's the first couple of sentences and then we're off to the next thing. We're so ADD about the whole thing. A new study from Focusrite, a big research company in the travel space, said 81% of those of us that bought travel last year online based our purchase decision on picture over price. So if you've got compelling photography and even more compelling video, that is going to really allow you to increase price if you choose to, because that price point won't be nearly as important if someone has seen a picture that they can picture themselves, oh, I want to do that.
So Bill, what about video?
See, we've gotten to a point now where the majority of the country, vast majority of the country, is on broadband, so they can consume video. There was a time, not more than 5-6 years ago, that video was tough because of dial-up and jerkiness. Today, frankly, with the new technologies that are out there and some of the new ones that are coming in the next year, video is just, it's everywhere. The average American watches 2 videos a day online, and it's been proven that video on your site increases the conversion rate of somebody who's just looking to somebody who's buying. So, the old adage of a picture worth 1,000 words, well, video is worth 10,000.
So with this bombardment of all this new media, how do we cut through the clutter and get the consumer to latch onto our message?
Yeah, I think there's 2 things. One is just what we've been talking about, is open those doors, have people talking about you, get the conversation started. But then I think at the core, the product has to be unique. It has to be something that I can't get anywhere else. Otherwise, then you're just competing on price. And that's a fool's game, to have the same product, and everybody's on a race to the bottom trying to undercut the other person with discounts. If you can take a product and twist it up a little bit and make it just different enough, just unique enough, just that little, the ability for me to go to the water cooler on Monday morning and say, I just did something that I know you haven't done, it's so cool. That's how we live today. That's how we make our choices. And so I think unique is everything. And there was an interesting study done on iTunes and the percentage of the number of songs on iTunes that go unsold in a quarter. And people would say, oh, 30%, 40%. It was 2%, which means the most obscure songs are selling at least once every quarter. And that just shows that if it's unique enough, there's a market somewhere for it. There was actually a book on that concept called The Long Tail. And they're saying we are no longer constrained by shelf space. We used to all go to blockbuster movies, and not that we don't still, but art movies are getting a lot of action. Independent releases by unknown bands. We've got 10,000 people buying it because we don't all like the same things. We do like to be individual, and we're looking for the next unique thing that satisfies whatever that is inside of us.
And when we're talking about social media, they're not all created the same. Facebook, MySpace, Twitter.
I think they all have their place. If I had the staff, I'd be in all of them. If I had the resources. If you have to pick and choose, you're probably looking, I would say, especially for the travel space, I think we're looking at Facebook and Twitter. MySpace is really the realm of people who are into music, as far as a social platform. And I think that if you're a music festival, if you've got any kind of musical heritage, there's a place for you there. But if I was going to put my money on one or the other, it'd probably be Facebook and Twitter.
All right. Well, Bill, certainly appreciate your insights.
Hey, thank you.